So welcome back. For this one, we're going to be doing the playoff machine. We're going to be messing around with the last few weeks of the season and see how things play out there, giving my thoughts on how each matchup is going to go from week 14. Of course, we already know the Thursday night matchup between the Lions and the Cowboys, but from week 14 on to last week and give you my thoughts again, who's going to make the playoffs, as well as the final records for every team thus far. Love the playoff machine. It's always fun tinkering with it and seeing how different matchups play out and how how to mess around with certain teams can get in that look like unlikely and how it does so. But for this one, we're going to be basing off of again my thoughts on the matchups for each week. And for most of them, I feel like they're pretty easy to predict. Some of them it might take a little bit of time to talk about, but for the most part, I think we kind of get the gist of a lot of the matchups going ahead. So kicking off week 14, like we talked about for Thursday night last night, the Lions win 44-30. If I had to, if before going into that game to choose the winner, I leaned towards Dallas. I thought it was the high flying scoring offense. I did not think the defense was going to score or give up 44 points to the Detroit Lions. But again, I did think it was going to be a high scoring game. But I was going to pick the Cowboys for that one. So off the bat, I would have been wrong. Moving to the Jets and Dolphins. To me, it's pretty easy. I mean, it's the Miami Dolphins. It seems like the likely winner here. Jets are just dysfunctional at this point, constantly going back and forth of the quarterback position. Miami is really starting to pick up some steam thus far. So they move 6-7 into the season after having a brutal start to the year. They've had gotten a lot of traction thus far the last few weeks. Going to Pittsburgh and Baltimore, I'm going to say Baltimore. It's just I don't trust the Steelers' offense. I know they are up and down. They scored a lot of points, like 28 points against the Chicago Bears, and then basically got shut up by the Bills, only scoring 7. They're a very up and down team, so it's tough to predict. But I do see Baltimore win that one, no question. I mean, just look at the quarterback position with Lamar Jackson, even with the injuries on the Ravens roster and the concerns there. I still trust Lamar Jackson and the Ravens over Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph, who's been playing at that point, going to that one. Saints Bucks, easy Bucks in this one. This is going to be a tough matchup because the Colts and Jaguars still have to play twice a year, and the Colts are certainly spiraling. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and Jacksonville has taken full advantage of the division thus far, and it's both the same record, 8-4 at this point. It's tough to predict of who's going to win it. Now, to give you, I guess, foreshadowing or already coming out with it, I do see him splitting the series. I do see the Colts and Jacksonville winning one game each in this division or in these 2 games. But for this week, I'm going to say the Colts bounce back after a 2-game skid. I do see the Colts winning it, but again, I'm going down the line. I think it's week 18. The next time they play, I do see Jacksonville win that. Like I said, I do see them splitting the series here. I'd be very surprised if either team sweeps either one. Going to probably one of the worst matchups for teams with the Browns and Titans. I go with the Browns here. Maybe the Cam Ward and them surprise me, but I think just with that Browns defense, they're going to shut down Cam Ward as most other teams have done this year, and Shedeur Sanders is going to do his thing. Not too much in the game, but do enough to win the game here over Tennessee. Washington and Minnesota, I'm going to go with Washington. It goes back to what I just said about the Steelers real quick about the Jets, going back to the quarterback situation and the Steelers too to a point. It just with J.J. McCarthy and whoever you want to throw in there at the mix, it's just been absolutely horrible for Minnesota this year at the quarterback position. It's really been the huge downfall of them compared to their great season last year, 15-1 season last year. This year, a complete polar opposite. Is there other factors into the mix? Yes, but the biggest reason is the quarterback position there, and for Washington too on top of that as well. But I do trust Washington at this point slightly more than Minnesota right now. I could certainly see Minnesota winning this game, but I have Washington beating Minnesota here. Going to the next one, Seattle and the Falcons. I have Seahawks winning that one. Jack Smith-Njigba is probably going to put up a monster performance like he usually has been. For my Bills, for the Bengals and the Bills, this is a very tough matchup. This could probably be the best game of the week just because of the first off the quarterback matchup as well as maybe a high scoring game because both defenses are not that good. Buffalo certainly has a little bit better defense than the Bengals, which would say a lot because of how bad the Bills defense has been. It's tough to I'm biased, taking away the fandom in me. It is really tough to decide who's going to win this one. It truly is. I can no doubt see either way going here. Buffalo does have not the best history against Joe Burrow since he's arrived in the NFL. 0-2 at this point, or if you wanted to tell me 0-3, because people like to throw out the Damar Hamlin game, how that ended, that it looked like Cincinnati was going to win that one. But 0-2 thus far. It was in the playoff game after that year, or during that season, and then I think the year after they did play as well, they struggle. And you kind of breaking down the stats here. You look at the average points allowed, 31.2 against the Bengals, 21.6 the Bills. And then average points, it's not too far off, 23 to 28, but this is certainly a team that can get red hot now, especially with Joe Burrow now being the lineup now, back in the lineup, which the points a little bit more skewed because of Joe Burrow not being there for the most part. It's tough. Again, you might want to say that it's biased here. I see the Bills winning this one. Is it do I feel truly confident in that? Probably not, but it's a very tough decision to go back to decide here, because I could see either or. I could see the Bengals winning. If the Bengals do, the Bills drop to 7th. If the Bills win, of course, you see here everything gets changed around. The Bills move up to the 5th seed. I'm going to say the Bills find a way to beat Cincinnati. I don't feel too confident with it, especially when you see down the stretch of the other games, but I do see Buffalo slightly pulling out in this one here. Next one is the Broncos and Raiders. Easy, Broncos here. This is another one, too, that I feel like is going to split the series here. But I'm going to have Chicago winning the first matchup, first go-around for this one. Rams and Cardinals, easy for the Rams here. This is also going to be another interesting one. I'm not too confident in the offense with C.J. Stroud, but they have a shutdown defense. And the Chiefs' offense has struggled. Mahomes, at times, has put up points. Has put up good showings in games. But I do think I'm going to lean towards... and it's maybe a little slugfest here. I'm going to say Houston gets the win just because of how great their defense is. And there's a lot of question marks on the offense for Mahomes and the offense, surrounding just the receivers, offensive line still at this point, play calling. I do think the Texans are going to stifle the Chiefs enough to pull this one out. Again, even with the Texans offense not being that great at all, I think it's just a better defense is going to step up here and win here, and Texans winning over the Chiefs. And if the final matchup here, just because of just the injuries they have, especially with Justin Herbert, I have Philadelphia winning that spot here. So you see how the playoffs will shake out thus far through Week 14. Moving into Week 15 for this one, tough matchup here, Bucs and Falcons, but I'm gonna give the edge to the Buccaneers here, trusting Baker Mayfield over Michael Penix. Well, obviously out for the year, but over Kirk Cousins too. On top of that, I do trust Baker Mayfield in this team more, even though they have still quite a bit of injuries at this point here. I have the Bucs winning against the Falcons. Bills and Patriots. This is, at least around here, a lot of people aren't too high on the Patriots. They feel it just because of just easy matchups, which to a point, yes, they are. They have played a lot of easier teams, but I do think the Patriots are a really good team. I really do. I love Mike Vrabel. I love Drake May. I think they've done what I expected them to. Maybe not to this point for the wins, but I did expect them going to the season to have a great season, and they've done that so far. I have the Patriots sweeping the Bills. I do. I don't think that the Bills have any answers. Not to say that maybe things can't change in the playoffs and some have a miracle run, but at New England now, it's just, again, the Bills are very high and cold. They can show you a great performance in 1 week and then the next week have a horrible performance like the Texans game they did. And that one, it can show you great heights against, like I said, against the Chiefs, other teams you want to mention, and then fall apart in this one. And it could be, you could flip the other games around. You could have them losing to the Bengals. You could have them winning against the Patriots. It's a very tough way to gauge the Bills at this point because they're so hot and cold. They have so many problems on either side of the ball here. Unfortunately, as a Bills fan, I have to say that the Patriots will sweep the Bills this year. Next, going to the rematch of the Bengals and Ravens here. It's tough. Like I said, again, these divisional games are very tough to decide because both teams are really good going to this one. I was surprised the Bengals blew out the Ravens on Thanksgiving. I want to say that it's going to, once again, for this one too, it's going to be a split series, but I might be going up against my better judgment. I have the Bengals sweeping the Ravens. It might sound crazy to say, but with Joe Burrow back in the lineup, I think that's just enough to get it done. And again, there are problems with the Ravens offense. Lamar Jackson has been sluggish the last few weeks, has not played the best. Could flip on a switch in week 15 at that point? Absolutely. He has the capability of going off and putting up monster numbers and taking a game over. But right now, I think I trust the Bengals offense a little bit more with the Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. Of course, there's more to it than just those three guys, but I think I'm going to slightly, once again, trust the Bengals in this one. Jets and Jaguars, easy. Jaguars in this one. Chargers and Chiefs. I do have the Chiefs winning this one. Again, it's not looking good for the Chargers down the stretch, which is all the injuries they've had on the offense, especially again Herbert being banged up once again. I think the Chiefs find a way to win this one and even the series and get revenge from week one. Texans Cardinals, have the Texans here. Bears Browns, Bears. A little bit of a difficult one here. I want to say I'm going to trust Jackson Dart and the Giants here for my better judgment. I'm going to trust the Giants a little bit more over the Commanders in this one. Eagles, Raiders, Eagles, Colts, Seahawks. Tough. It's tough to figure this one out. I'm going to say Seahawks in this matchup. Broncos, Packers. I'm going to say Broncos in this one. Obviously, San Francisco over Tennessee. All of them, spoiler alert for this one. It's going to be all the teams that the Titans face are going to beat the Titans. Panthers, Saints. I have the Panthers here. Another tough matchup. Lions, Rams. That's a good matchup. That's going to be exciting. I think it might be similar to what we saw on Thursday night yesterday with the Cowboys and Lions here. I'm gonna say the Rams. I'm gonna say the Rams pull this one out over Detroit. Cowboys and Vikings. Cowboys. Another one too. Very up and down. What I talk about for the Steelers here. I don't know what team you're gonna get. Miami is a little bit on a tear here, going up to 6-7. You have Pittsburgh at 6-7. I think this is the week that the Pittsburgh looks like the typical Steelers that we think of, at least in the better fashion for the offense. I had the Steelers pulling this one out here. I always struggle with this one. I always when I constantly go in this and mess around with this matchup. When I get to week 15 with the Steelers and Dolphins, I always struggle to figure out what team to pick. It's the same way I just felt about explaining the Bills and Bengals. It's so tough to figure out who's going to win that one. And I felt the same way with this matchup here. I'm going to get the slight edge for Pittsburgh over Miami. Going to week 16, let's make sure I have everything. Yeah. So going to week 16, Seahawks, Rams. I do have the Rams pulling this one out over Seattle. Philadelphia and Washington. Philadelphia. Like I talked about, I do have them split the series, so I have the Packers. Just going to make sure. Yep. So I picked Chicago. For that first matchup, I have the Packers winning this one. Jets, Saints. I got not a really great matchup for this one. It's tough. It's tough to decide what to even go with. I mean, both teams are horrible. I mean, obviously 3-9, 2-10, both are horrible on the road. Points aren't that impressive. I don't know. I really don't know what to go with. Honestly, I'm gonna go with the Saints. I'm gonna go with the Saints again. Just going. Both quarterback situations are horrible. They are. I mean, both teams are gonna be picking relatively high in the upcoming draft, so I don't know what to say. I mean, if I really wanted to, I would just put these two at a tie and just be safe with it. But I'm gonna say that the Saints find a way to somehow win this one. Again, I don't know for the bad reasons. The other matchups, because they're a little bit better teams, it's tough to decide. I can't decide because of the worst reasons why. Because I just don't know what team is worse than the other. I mean, record-wise, the Saints are worse than the Jets, but again, with them losing Sauce Gardner, Quinn Williams, unsure at the quarterback position for the Jets and really for both teams, I'm going to say the Saints in this one. Bills, Browns, I would like to say it'd be an easy one, but again, the Bills have shown you they've struggled against bad teams this year, but I do see the Bills pulling this one out. Easy one for the Chiefs here. This is another tough one. This is another tough matchup that we have here, Patriots and Ravens. I'm going to say Baltimore pull this one out. Might be weird to say because again, I am really high on the Patriots. I think they're a great team. Are they bulletproof? No, they do have some weaknesses, but I think this is gonna be. I think Baltimore is going to pull this one out here. No slide on the Patriots here. I could easily see them win this game, but I have Lamar Jackson pulling this one out. Chargers, Cowboys. I do have the Cowboys win this one again. Why I keep saying that, I think the Chargers are just too battered. I think there's too many injuries that's happened to this team. Can they pull some of these games out? Sure, but it just at this point, I think they're just the wheels have fallen off. I think there's too many things going on with them on one side of the ball too, and all that. I think it's too much, too many injuries, too many things happened this year to really make a playoff run. It sucks because the early this year looked fantastic. It was a huge statement win week one. Little did we know about the Chiefs and their struggles, but again, it was a great start for the season for the Chargers. But after that, it started to quickly die down. At this point, you see them going from 8-4 to 8-7. I have them at a 3-game losing streak. Is that me being not unfair? Maybe you could argue with that for the Chargers, but I do worry with the injuries that they're just going to catch up, and they're not going to be that effective at this point. Vikings, Giants. I mean, again, I just question the offense. What I keep saying about JJ McCarthy, I just trust Jackson Dart at this point to make a little bit more plays. Let's see, Panthers, Bucks. This is tough because the Panthers are playing better, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6 for the records. I mean, they're both fighting for the division. It is close. But again, quarterback matchup, I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield over Bryce Young. Bryce Young is hit or miss. He doesn't put up that great of the stats outside of a few weeks ago where he threw for over 400 yards, the outlier. After that, he is very iffy of that. I just don't know his future with the Panthers at this point. If they feel comfortable with him moving forward, again, very up and down in his performances. So I'm going to trust Baker Mayfield and the Bucs over Bryce Young. Going to the Jags and Broncos, I have Broncos winning this one. Falcons over the Cardinals, Texans over the Raiders. I have Detroit pulling this one out over the Steelers. I don't want to make it sound like this is going to be a tough matchup. It might be. Again, who knows? The Steelers, again, are very tough to gauge. Like I say for the Bills, they're very tough to gauge. They're hot and cold every single week. You don't know what you're going to get. But I do trust, of course, Detroit being a much better team overall than the Steelers. Bengals and Dolphins, I have the Bengals winning this one. And in Colts and 49ers, I have the 49ers pulling out there. So this is so far, this is the playoff matchup in the standings thus far through week 16. Going into week 17, Cowboys, Commanders, I have the Cowboys, Lions over Vikings. I do have the Broncos sweeping I have the Broncos sweeping the Chiefs this year. I do. I think they again, that's how great that defense is, and the offense just does enough. I know it was very ugly the first matchup, but I think Bo Nix and the offense just does the bare minimum, and the Broncos defense should shut them down here. It's still going to be a tough, close game. I mean, that's how it was the first matchup. It's still going to be a good game, but I do see the Broncos sweeping that one and really solidifying the division win for the West, as if it wasn't already solidified. So next, for the Giants and Raiders, Giants, Texans, Chargers. This again, I don't know. I don't want to be negative and be harsh towards the Chargers. I'm going to stick with the Texans. I do. I'm going to stick with the Texans at this point. What I just said, I don't want to repeat myself over and over again, but just with everything going on with the Chargers, I don't trust them at this point. I really don't. Going to the Seahawks and Panthers, I have Seahawks, Packers, and Ravens. I have the Packers pulling this one out, Bengals and Cardinals. Steelers over the Broncos, Steelers over the Browns. Obviously, easily the Brown, or as I keep getting all these teams mixed up, the Patriots over the Jets. Another select fest here. I had the Saints over the Titans. I do have them splitting the series here. I have to go back and I forgot what I said for this matchup here. I have the Colts. The Colts won the first matchup. I have Jacksonville splitting the series there. Let's see, Dolphins and Bucks. I have the Bucks win this one. Bills and Eagles. I have the Eagles pulling this one out. Bears and 49ers. Tough. Again, it's just tough to figure out. I'm going to say Chicago. I'm going to say Chicago over San Francisco. Rams over the Falcons. Just Rams, a much better team than the Falcons. So this is our going to the final week of the season. This is how the playoff standings look thus far, and also the records down below overall here. Now, final week 18. What do I have here? I have the Rams over the Cardinals. I have yet again the Chargers losing this one out. So you look at the bottom here, basically losing out 0-5. It's probably very unlikely. I'm sure the Chargers will win one of these matchups, or maybe two of the matchups. But again, if you want to say in the comments, I'm very harsh and I'm being naive and an idiot with the Chargers. You could certainly say that, but I just don't feel confident with some of the matchups they have, the teams they face. I just don't feel comfortable with them at all. So unfortunately, I do have the Chargers losing out and basically the floor falling underneath them in this one. Obviously, an easy one for Chiefs here. Patriots and Dolphins. The first matchup was interesting. It was a close game, no question about that. But this is gonna be at New England, and at this point here, I think that even with Miami playing better, they have somewhat turned their season around, 6-10. A tad bit, not barely, but still a lot better than what we thought earlier this year. I do have the Patriots still winning this one, even though the Dolphins are playing a little better as of late. I have the Patriots close out the season with a win. Eagles and Commanders. I have the Eagles here. Patriots and Ravens. Not Patriots. Again, keep getting all the teams mixed up. Ravens and Steelers. I do have the Ravens sweeping the series here. Again, I don't trust the Steelers at this point, especially at the quarterback position, everything altogether. I trust Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and that team over the Steelers at this point. And if you look at that, unfortunately, how I have it projected, that's gonna break the Mike Tomlin streak. It's gonna be a losing season. I know that's that long-lasting winning streak, consecutive years. It's gonna be over 8-9. Sorry, no 9-8 season, unfortunately for the Steelers there. So maybe that's a sigh of relief for Steelers fans because I mean all of them are sick of it. I mean you saw the Bills chant, or the chants over the Bills game to fire Mike Tomlin. So maybe that's a great thing to just top off the season is to finally break that winning streak every single year. But I do have the Ravens win the final week of the season. 49ers and Seahawks. This is tough. It's a very tough matchup. I'm gonna say San Francisco slightly. I don't feel it's tough. It's close because of just how both teams have been playing. I can definitely see the argument for both sides of the ball here, both sides of the teams here. But I'm gonna say San Francisco over the edge here. I do have this again. This is a little bit of a tough matchup. The first go around that we had. I don't know who to pick. I really don't. I'm gonna say the Colts find a way to get even in the series here in this one. I really want to say the Texans here at this point. You see the difference there. If Texans do beat the Colts, the Chiefs get in. Not doing it because I don't want to keep the Chiefs out, but I think the Colts will find a way to even the series up. I do. I think the team is talented, even though they have their struggles and there's question marks about Sauce Gardner with his injuries and stuff like that. I think that this is weeks down the line, but still, as looking at Arizona right now, I think the Colts will find a way to kind of pick themselves up and find a way to win this one. Cowboys and Giants. Cowboys, Bengals over the Browns. I do have that's another tough one, another tough matchup here. It's gonna be very high scoring as it was the first matchup. I'm gonna say Detroit again. I'm gonna say Detroit wins this one. Falcons over the Saints. The Bills getting the final win at Highmark Stadium over the Jets. Final matchup, and then if they make the playoffs, I doubt we'll see a home playoff game unless everyone just falls apart and the Bills make it to the AFC Championship game, being the highest seed, and you have Jacksonville or Indianapolis at this point right now, how it stands, being one of the teams in there as well. I have the Packers over the Vikings. I'm gonna say Carolina splits the series with the Bucs. I do. I really want to see I really want to say Buccaneers and say they sweep the series, but Carolina just at times they have great performances. Whatever reason, they find ways to have great performances randomly, and I think that I could certainly see both these teams splitting the series. Would I be surprised if Bucs sweep it? No, not at all. But I'm gonna say split the series with this one, and I keep saying that for a lot of divisional games. It's tough. I think there's two tough teams. I'm not saying just because they're rivals, but just teams in general are just they're good. It's very tough to decide. It's not lopsided like the Bills or the Jets, or if I'll even throw in Falcons and Saints, obviously, and it's just not, or Jacksonville and Tennessee. It's not easy to say. And then running up the final game of the year for regular season, at least in this table, Jacksonville over the Titans. So with projecting the last few weeks of the season, this is what it stands here in the AFC. Your number one seed is the Denver Broncos, followed by the Patriots at 2, Texans at 3, Baltimore at 4. Then you have the Bills at the 5th seed, the top wild card spot at 11-6 at 5, Jacksonville at 6, and Indianapolis at 7. So you have 3 teams in the AFC South make the playoffs in this one. And looking at the bottom here for the AFC, you have Miami finishing up at 11-6, Jets at 3-14, Buffalo at 11-6, and New England 14-3. Looking at the AFC West here, you have the Broncos at 15-2, a progressive season. Kansas City missing the playoffs at 9-8. Los Angeles losing out at 8-9, and Las Vegas losing out at 2 on top of that 2-15. Look at the AFC North. Baltimore is your winner at 9-8, with Cincinnati being in second place at 8-9. Pittsburgh followed that at third place at 8-9, and then Cleveland at 4-13. And then for the AFC South here, Houston takes the number 1 spot at 11-6. Jacksonville 11-6 in the second spot, and third place is Indianapolis at 10-7. And you have Tennessee being 1-16. And to be honest, they should be 0-17. I don't know how they beat Arizona. Arizona should have won that, and we should have the first 0-17 team. But instead, we have 1-16, which is, not that far off being horrible. Looking at the NFC, your number 1 seed is the Los Angeles Rams at 14-3, followed by the Philadelphia Eagles in the second seed. Third seed is the Chicago Bears. 4th seed is Tampa Bay, followed by a top seed in the wild card. The 5th seed is San Francisco, followed by the Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers with the final spot in 7th. Look at the NFC standings here, like the NFC East. Philadelphia is the number 1 spot, 3-14. Dallas is second place at 10-6-1. Giants end at 5-12, and Washington is 4-13 to round up the year. NFC West here, Like the South, you have 3 teams from the West. Los Angeles in the first spot, 4-13, like we said. San Francisco in second place, 12-5, and Seattle at 12-5 as well, followed by Arizona all the way at the bottom at fourth place. Huge dip between 3 and 4 at 3-14. Look at the NFC North. You have Chicago in first place in 12-5. Green Bay in second place in 11-5-1. Detroit missing the playoffs at 11-6. I know it's crazy to say that. It is with that record, but I do have Detroit missing in this one. They should make it in, but again, it's just that they've had some struggles, and I think unfortunately it's just gonna be too little, too late in this one. And seeing how some of the matchups played out too, I had it as well. On top of that, but I do have them finishing at 11-6, and then once again, way at the bottom, huge step between 3 and 4. Minnesota in fourth place at 4-13. The AFC South, Tampa Bay is your winner at 11-6. Carolina is in second place at 9-8. Atlanta ends at 6-11, and New Orleans 4-13. And that is my prediction for the remainder of the season, for the playoffs and so forth. I mean, obviously, once we get to the playoff time and the final standings for the playoffs is set, I will make a video, of course, predicting how the playoffs is going to go and my Super Bowl winner for that one. But as it stands here for the last few weeks, this is the final score or final predictions for the playoffs, as well as the projected records to finish off the year. So let me know your thoughts down below of how you feel about this. Was I right? Was I wrong? Was I far off? Was I pinpoint? Let me know about your thoughts down below and who you have projected for your playoff teams moving into as we get closer to Week 18 and round up the season and going into the playoffs. Let me know down below your picks of who you have there, as well as the records for everyone else.